Hello everyone, I'm Matt Mitrovich, the alternate historian. New map analysis video today, and this time I'm going to be looking at a map created by a Sidewise Award winning author.
This is Quantum Europe, and it was created by Daniel Benson.
Ignore the Kingdoms of Evil web address in the bottom right corner. That's just Dan's website. He's not really that evil.
For those who don't know, Dan is a Chicago-born author who currently lives with his family in Bulgaria, where he teaches English as a second language. His short story, Treasure Fleet, which is currently available in the Tales from Alternate Earth anthology, won the 2016 Short-Form Sidewise Award for Alternate History, sharing the award with Adam Rovner's What If the Jewish State Had Been Established in East Africa. Besides writing, he is also an artist, and has produced art for a variety of online alternate histories, and has done some alternate cartography, which I featured on my old blog. Today, however, I'm just going to be looking at Quantum Europe, and no, this isn't the result of a Europa Universalis playthrough that went off the rails. According to Dan's original guest post, he was inspired to make this map because, and I quote, "The borders in a given area, say Europe, depend a lot on historical contingency, the arbitrary choices of leaders, and plain old accident. But geography plays a role too. Unless your alternate history is a very alternate indeed, mountains and rivers still function the same way to hinder or aid armies and merchants. So given this geography, what state borders are most likely?" So using the maps on Euratlas Periodis, Dan traced the borders of Europe from 1000 to 2000 AD to find the most long-lived borders, producing this map for reference. Just looking at this map, you can notice some recognizable European nations right away, like Portugal, England, Wales, Scotland, and Czechia. Others well-versed in history might even notice the borders of Castile and Aragon, the old borders of Hungary, the northern boundary of the Byzantine and Ottoman empires, and the outline of the Holy Roman Empire, among other countries. But if you then redraw the map of Europe using only these long-lasting borders, you get Quantum Europe. And yes, this is more of a thought experiment than pure alternate history, since there is no specific point of divergence that created it, although occasionally Dan has tried to half-seriously explain certain aspects of the map. For example, Corsica is listed as Genoa, which Dan described in a comment on the original post as a Taiwan-like government in exile plotting the day they can return to their homeland and wrested from the vile Venetians. Even if this was treated like an alternate history, it would still be pretty implausible. Much of the groupings don't make much sense from a historical perspective. For example, the various ethnic groups of the Southern Balkans, Turkey, and Levant are unlikely to unite under the banner of Rome. The country called Lithuania on the map doesn't actually contain most of what would be our timeline's Lithuania. And with all of these changes to Europe, why does North Africa look unchanged? Meanwhile, countries that you think should exist, like Prussia, well, with the disunited Germany and all, are nowhere to be seen. At best, you could argue this is what Europe might look like if the Byzantine Empire survived and later reformed into a Roman federation, with all the other changes to Europe being caused by the butterflies originating from that event. But, as I already mentioned, this isn't an alternate history map.
And if I'm being honest, in terms of artistic quality, this is only an okay map.
Some of the country names are difficult to read unless you squint. The link to Dan's website in the bottom right corner is distracting, and some of the borders are thicker in some places than others. In truth, I've seen better looking maps, even from Dan himself.
So why focus on it in the first place?
Well, some of you may remember my video on the Sharo Plan, which was a satirical redrawing of Europe's borders to poke fun at Westerners who think they can fix the Middle East by simply redrawing the map. In that video, I admonished Sharo for not putting more effort into his map, and when I rediscovered Quantum Europe, I realized something. This is what the Sharo Plan could have looked like if more effort was put in. I mean, it's not perfect, and it does have a lot of the same issues that anyone who tries to redraw national borders in the name of peace would run into, like how the people living within those borders might not be interested in being part of a different country just because an outsider said they had to. But you can't say effort wasn't put into it. Relying on Europe's longest-lasting borders to redraw Europe makes more sense than just arbitrary lines drawn across a blank canvas. Plus, there are groups actively trying to make states like the ones mentioned in Quantum Europe. For example, many Basques have tried unsuccessfully to gain independence from Spain, and Dan's state of Biscaya sits within the Basque country. Meanwhile, in 2010-2011, it almost looked like Belgium would fall apart after the leaders were unable to form a government, and if it did, maybe the French and Dutch-speaking portions might have joined with France and Netherlands respectively. So while Quantum Europe may be only an okay map, its use of Europe's longest-lasting borders comes pretty close to predicting what the best national borders for Europe could be. Perhaps one of these days I will find the ideal borders for Europe, but until that time, Quantum Europe will hold the top spot.
Well, that is what to say in the subject. If you like what I do, please comment, subscribe, share this video, support me on Patreon. I'm Matt Mitrovich, the alternate historian. Bye!